Okay, the Mishnah says, Shloisha Dvarim Omer Rabbi Elazar ben Parta. Shloisha Dvarim Omer Rabbi Elazar ben Parta Lifnei Chachamim. Yeah, but I don't know why. Shloisha Dvarim Omer Rabbi Elazar ben Parta Lifnei Chachamim V'kim was Dvarim. There's three things that Rabbi Elazar ben Parta told the Chachamim, and they were Makayim his words. Al Irshi Kifa Charkoi, a city that was surrounded by a siege. A city, a ship that's about to sink. Somebody who's about to be judged about capital punishment. We can assume they're alive. They have an assumption of being alive. But if you have a city that was conquered by the siege, in other words, that they're coming to kill, if you have a ship that was lost by sea and someone is going to be killed, they're considered alive and dead at the same time. You have a Bas Yisrael, a Bas Kohen Yisrael, they're not allowed to eat Truma because we consider them to be alive and dead at the same time. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I got my phone back. Perfect. So the Gemara says, Omer of Yosef, Leishonu Elo Bevezn Shel Yisrael. This is what we say for Yotzei Lahorig, you're considered Noitzanal of Chumrei Chayim, but given the stringencies of being alive, it's only if it's a Jewish Bezin. A Bezin Shalavid Gechav, given the Gomer Ludina, the Ketola, Miktok Patlile. But if it's a non-Jewish court, once they decide they're going to kill you, they're going to kill you. In, I guess, the vast majority of cases. Omer Le, Abaye, Bezin Shalom Chum Namid, Mekabla Sheichta. Abaye told him, even a non-Jewish court, it could be that they're going to receive bribes. Omer Le, Kishakli, Mikamid Delachtem, poor say, Shanmug. The boss at the Michtam Persi Shanmug Le Shak. They're only going to take bribes before they sign the din. Once they sign the din, they're not going to take bribes. Okay. Meisve, there's a question. If you have a person who's Nigmar Din Alihorig, that it was decided that he's supposed to die, and then he ran away. Any place where two people stand up and they testify and they say, we know that this so and so he's supposed to be killed in the bezin of plenty sorry, and so are his Adim. He's supposed to be killed. So we don't say maybe they found slus. So what's the difference here? What it says, shiny. Someone who runs away is different. If he didn't run away, then once he runs away, we're not going to find slus on him. Interesting. Okay, that seems a little dochuk, but Toshma, come in here. Shama mi bezin shall Yisrael shayoim mish pleni meis, ish pleni nehrag. If he heard from the bezin of a yid that they would say, so and so died, so and so was killed, Yasi was ishtay. They can marry his wife. Ish pleni mes. Mess, Rashi explains, is someone who's killed, but not because it's a capital punishment, but because he does a chiyuv malchus twice. Bezin kills him. It's in Maseches Sanhedrin. Or Nerag is one of the Arba Mrs. Bezin. Okay, again, Toshma, Sham Bezin Shalisol Shaim Mish Plani Mesish Plani Dar. I guess he was Sishtai. He marry his wife. Mikum Terisin Shalev the Chom Mish Plani Mesish Plani Dar. I'll you see was Sishtai. But if it's from the non-Jewish court, and then not, the non-Jewish executioners, you can't. So Gemara says, "My mace and my netic." What are we talking when we say dead or killed? If you're going to say it means that he was mamish killed, put to death or killed, so why not by a Jewish court? We can believe a non-Jew is Masech Lefi Tumei. For the love, Meis Yoitze Lomus, Nerag Yoitze Lohorik. Meis means he's going to be put to death, and Yohorik is put to death in the Arba in the 4 capital punishments. Biktani Bebezin Yisrael Yasivus Ishta, it says that in a Jewish court, they could marry his wife. You can assume that he's put to death. So we don't trust Schus. Says the Gemara, Meis Mamash and Nerag Mamash. This that you're asking, so if it's Meis Mamash or Nereg Mamash, why not by a non-Jew? Don't we hold that a Masech Vitumah is believed? It's only if he doesn't have like a reason to praise himself. But if it's something that he wants to praise that we killed so-and-so, then we don't believe him. In such a case, we're not going to believe him. Because maybe he's just praising himself. It's another answer. Rabbi Yosef says, this that we say is Fakir, it's the opposite. It's Punkt Fakir from what we said before. Is by a Bezdin of the Gechavim because they receive bribes. A Bezdin Shal Yisrael, even the Nafke Leidina Lektolo, Takati, but Mashenka by Yidin Fakir, they're going to kill him. For sure, they're going to kill him. So it's the opposite of what we were saying before. So Gemara says, Amalei Abaya, Bezdin Shal Yisrael, Nami after the Chazale Schusa. By Bezdin of Yisrael, they could also find the Schus, like we said before, he's asking on Rav Yosef. It's only if before the Gemardin. After the Gemardin, they're not going to find schus. Let us say that the Brisa supports it. It says, that if a person ran away, they testify that if there's 2 people testify that he was supposed to be put to death with certain bezin and certain edim, he's supposed to be killed. So we see clearly, like Rav Yosef, by a bezin, we saw there's no schus. Maybe someone who runs away is different. If they heard in a bezin he saw that so and so died or was killed, however, like we're analyzing my mace and my netic. If you're going to say it means they're mamish for killed, why not by a guy? It says only in a bezin of Yisrael. So we see clearly, like Rabbi Yosef, again, a raya. Says the Gemara, why don't we believe by non-Jew? If that's the case, if it was mace or nerik mamish. But it's only something they don't have anything to do with. We'll believe them if they're Masech Vitum. This is the Shaychibo. But if it's something that Shaychibo, then they're going to lie. We don't trust them. Says Rashi, after the Gemardin, it's not shchich. It's not common for people to find this. So basically, Machlekes in Rav Yosef and the 2 versions of Rav Yosef are, even if it's not, is it this that we say that by Yid, is it shchiach or not shchiach? What's the definition of shchiach? Is it common or is it not common? Okay, we're up to the next Mishnah on Daf Chof Tes Amud Aleph. We'll do one more Mishnah at least. Okay, the Mishnah says, maybe get better to solve a cholo. Someone brings a get in Eretz Yisrael, so he doesn't have to say b'fan and nichtav and nechtam, and he's sick, so it's hard for him to fulfill his shlichus. He can send it with somebody else. If it's plain, but if he told him, when you give the get, if the Baal told the shliach take a certain object from her. He said, take a certain object from her when you give the get. Because that's the part of the shlichus. He wants him to receive something in return that he doesn't want with anybody else. Rav Kana said, cholatnan. Chola means he was sick. The onus that there was an oinus. So too with all oinsim, but if there was no oinus, then he cannot send it with somebody else. It's only if there's an oinus. Says the Gemara Pshita, obviously, chalak toni. It says chalak, so why would you think not? You would think even if you're not sick, even if there's no oinus, he's allowed to send it with a shliach and make a shliach. Listen, it says chalak, we're talking about the normal way of things. Kamash Malon, that it is specifically chalak. Only chalak. So the Gemara now analyzes. What are we talking about? What did the Baal say when he appointed the shliach? If he told him to bring it, he didn't say ato ba'atzmacha hoylech. Rashi says he just said hoylech. Then what's the difference? He could appoint one shliach, could appoint another. There's no reason not to. And if he said you specifically, even if he's sick, he can't. Because he said you. If you're going to say Rav Shimon Gamliel, if you're going to say it's the opinion of Rav Shimon Gamliel, which we're going to see in a second, it says in the Bryce, if a person says, bring this get to my wife, he can send it with someone else. He can't send it with someone else. According to Shimon Gamliel, one shliach is not allowed to make another shliach. So where do we see the difference between chola or not? It depends on what the husband said, not depending on if you're sick or not. So the Gemara says, we're talking about hoylech, and it's only if you got sick. Or we could say we're talking about at hoylech. Hoylech is different, and you could even fit it with Rav Shimon Gamliel. Okay, very interesting. So now it says in the Mishnah, maybe get Eretz Yisrael v'chola is a mishachal b'yadach, or somebody brings a get in Eretz Yisrael and he gets sick, you send it with someone else. But Aminu, there's a contradiction. Amr l'shnayim tnu get liishti or l'shleisha kis v'get t'snu liishti. If he told two people to bring a get to my wife, or three people to write a get and give it to my wife, only them and not a shliach. They themselves. In other words, only if you have shloisha, which is a bezin, can they appoint somebody else. If you didn't tell them to write it, they can appoint somebody else. But he can't. But a regular person can't. One shliach cannot make another shliach. But there, the reason is the husband is supposed to write it, and he's asking two people to write it. So because he doesn't want to be embarrassed, they have to write it themselves. They can't give it over to somebody else. But by halacha, just to carry it over, there's no problem. In other words, he told them to give it, but he didn't give them a get. He obviously wants them to write it. So that's obviously they'll be embarrassed. Mashenkin in the case where he gives them a get, that's a different story. Then they could one shliach can make another shliach. Because he didn't give them anything physical, he just told them something. Words cannot be given over to a shliach. But if he gives them a get, the one shliach can make another shliach. My binayu. What's the difference between the two answers? The difference will be a shliach matana. If the balabai is told two edim to write a shtar matana for so and so, if the reason is he's embarrassed, The husband does it. The giver doesn't have to write the star. The receiver of the gift has to write the star. So therefore, if they want, they could have somebody else write it. And according to the opinion, if it's just you have words, you can't give over words also by a matana. But there's no bizoyin by a matana. We've looked at the Rav Shmuel, Rav matana in a get, the Shmuel matana can get. Rav says matana is not like a get because he holds ideas bizoyin. Here there's no bizoyin. Shmuel says matana is like a get because he holds the idea is mile lemimsum l'shliach. If it's just words, he didn't give an actual document. One shliach cannot do another shliach. The Imam explained it, but if he told the shliach to take from the woman a certain object, so then he has to. Then that shliach cannot appoint another shliach. Someone who borrows cannot lend out. In other words, Rashi explains, it's not that the get wouldn't be a get if the first shliach appointed a second shliach. It will be a get, but the problem here is receiving the object. You're not allowed to do that. You can't receive, someone else cannot receive the object for the husband. If you rent, you cannot rent it out unless you have permission. Everybody knows this. This is obvious. So what are we trying to teach us here? Sometimes it won't even be a get. That's what we're saying. It won't even be a get. Why? For example, if he told the shliach, only divorce her, only give her the get in a house, and he went in the attic. Only use your right hand, but he used the left hand. He made him a shliach specifically for the right hand. So therefore, so too here, the shliach is dependent upon the shliach receiving the object, and it has to be the shliach himself. Says the Gemara, in a case where she went to him and she gave him the object and then she took the get, everybody agrees that it's no problem, it's a good get. So he changed the order. Even if it's a shliach sheni, even if it's a second shliach, if she gave him the get if she gave him the object and then he gave her the get, there's no problem. He pligi hechad omerle. Machlekes is where he told him, "Shkeil mina chayfetz v'hodar hav legita." Said first take the chayfetz and then give her the get. He gave her the get. And then he took the chayfetz. That's a problem because the husband wanted to make sure that he would get it till she gives it. So therefore, the get depends on the object. So if he did it the other way around, similar to saying only be megarisher in the house and he was megarisher in the aliyah. Very interesting. Rashi basically saying, really, the psul, based on the way the Gemara explains it, psul has nothing to do with the second shliach. It's dafka the first shliach. If he changes the order, or the second shliach would change the order, but theoretically, he could have a second shliach. We're just worried the second shliach is not going to get all the details right. That's why Rashi explains. How much more so the shliach of the shliach? Rishlak is machshir b'shluchay v'cholshkin, but Rishlak will say it's no problem. Okay, maybe we'll stop here for today, and we'll continue tomorrow. B'ezrat Hashem. We almost did a blat.